Be ready for BYU Game Day. Download the KSL News Radio app to stream BYU games, plus breaking news during the week. That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio, coming to you live from Salt Lake City Broadcast House. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte with you. BYU basketball facing some tough times, Matt. They could use a little bit of a message like President Trump earlier today in his inauguration. I will win for you. We are going to win like never before. BYU needs to start winning like never before because they got to get back into the bracket because, man, it'd be real disappointing with this roster that's very talented to not make the NCAA tournament.
They're not anywhere near a bracket right now. Now, the good news is, Mitch, there's a lot of opportunities. And there's a lot of great opportunities coming your way in Provo as well. So I think if you even get to, 8 and maybe 9 and 11 in conference play, maybe that's good enough.
I would say probably 10 and 10 at least because 9 and 11 with the weak non-conference schedule won't be enough.
Yeah, fair. That's
losing record. If they had a strong non-conference schedule, they would be able to probably sneak in with a 9 and 11 record. But with a losing record and their weak non-conference strength of schedule, they've got to be at least 10 and 10, at least.
There's a lot of hard road games, too. So they're going to have to get some people on the road, and they got to defend the Marriott Center, and it all starts tomorrow, which we'll break down in the next one. But right now, Mitch, let's get to what's trending.
Cougar Nation, trending. What's trending up and what's trending down this season?
I'll start things off, Matt, as BYU is 11-6 on the season, 2-4 in Big 12 play. There are some positives. Let's start off with the good news with this BYU team because I do believe that there are always positives. You know, whenever a loss happens, it's never as bad as it seems. It's never, doomsday, but you can always find some positives. But that was a tough one at the Huntsman Center. But the positives, to me, trending up is Mawut Mag. Mawut Mag had that big corner three that in the moment felt like that was going to be a game winner, and that was going to be his defining moment as a BYU Cougar. And that obviously did not happen.
And then Kata slipped, and Utah had a dunk on the other
However, I think Mag is doing a really nice job in his veteran presence, not being fazed by these hostile environments. He's navigated the Big Ten. I think he's showing up. And it was kind of crazy. He got an early technical foul call, and Kevin Young spoke to the media today and said Mag didn't even know what he said that warranted that. So that was kind of interesting, I thought. But Mag's bringing, toughness, I think, at times. They need to, bring that physicality in this tough league that is the Big 12. I think Mag's doing a nice job. Considering the low expectations for him coming into the season, I think he's really exceeding that right now.
Trending up for me, I'm liking Foose. I like the role that they've carved out for him. 8 of 13, 16 points, though. How do you not get to the free throw line one time? He was banging away in the paint repeatedly. No free throws for Foose. But Foose is playing good basketball. I like when he comes in. They know what they're doing. The most identifiable this team is at any moment is when Foose and Hall are on the floor. There's going to be some pick and roll, and there's going to be some low post touches, and that seems to be their most consistent brand of offense. I think Foose is playing some good basketball, and maybe they need more of Foose. He plays 23 minutes. Maybe get him around the 30-minute mark. If his conditioning is there, I don't see anything to say that he couldn't play 30 minutes a game. So I like where Foose is trending right now.
That's a good pull, Foose. And I will tell you, that emotion Foose had in the post-game press conference, that was as devastated as I've seen a BYU player in a long time after a game. And he didn't say much. He only got like one question, I believe, asked his direction. But you could tell that loss meant a lot to Foose, who's a senior. That was his last opportunity to go to the Huntsman Center, and they come away with an L. And that's my trending down, is the dominance over Utah in the men's basketball side of this rivalry. It could have been a tone setter for the Big 12, era of this rivalry. And I think it's a little bit of a bummer that BYU had to go back-to-back years in the Huntsman Center. I know it's, you're going to get a game in a couple weeks and months at the Marriott Center, but I thought that was unfortunate by the Big 12 to say you played at the Huntsman last year and then you go back again for the first one. Why don't they do that for football? Anyway, I digress. But I think that was a missed opportunity by this team beyond just simply metrics and getting a win and, just having that dominance in the rivalry. And Kevin Young shared his thoughts on the environment in his first rivalry game. This was Coach Kevin Young after the loss.
If anything, I thought it made us play harder. It was a good game, hard-fought game. I think two well-coached teams. Craig's a good coach, does a good job. Good environment. I didn't hear anything, kind of over the line as far as, you hear all kinds of horror stories. My kids thought they were walking into a UFC fight. They were, scared to come up here. And so I thought it was classy on Utah's part, hard-fought game, and will make me hungry to play them again, for sure.
Somebody get Dana White on the line to broker a BYU-Utah octagon. It was pretty okay. I mean, there were some chants from the Muss that were a curse word plus BYU. You can picture what that chant entailed.
It wasn't a soft curse word. We'll leave it at that.
It was not. But by all accounts, it seemed like the interactions, because we were right there in the middle of the crowd at Media Row. And we had
it's not as nasty at the Huntsman Center as it is at Rice-Eccles.
Yes, the basketball side of the rivalry is a little more calm compared to football. Excuse me, football just. I think
football's nasty.
Football in general just has such high emotion with everything that's just, it brings out a different element. Basketball, I thought it was pretty tame by all accounts. There was a lot of BYU fans in the upper deck in the general admission area. A lot of Utah fans, sellout crowd, still some empty seats, but I thought it was a pretty good atmosphere, I thought.
Trending down for me, you touched on it a moment ago with the MAG technical, and I want to be clear, I'm not blaming this loss on the officials at all, but the Big 12 officiating crews leave a lot to be desired, Mitch. MAG gets a tech for celebrating in front of the Utah bench. We couldn't hear, so we don't know what he said. But Keita rejected a ball in front of the Utah bench and then walked right in front of him.
Yes.
He looked like he was taunting them, and he doesn't get a tech. There's no consistency across the board, and I could give you a dozen examples of this from that game. I don't need to waste your time. There was the technical fouls, which we went over, and then the Hunter Erickson where he had the go-ahead free throws. I thought that was really ticky-tack for a game that was super physical, and then to not get that on the other end with Dawson Baker, I don't understand what we're trying to do when it comes to officiating. At times, it's super physical. And I think a lot of people think of the Big 12 as being some physical league. Then how's Hunter Erickson getting that call? If we're playing physical basketball, Foose blew up Lovering at one point, and it was a good no call, actually. Throws down the dunk, and I'm like, okay, great. Like, they're letting him play. And then those type of things are being called. It's got to be so maddening as a coach and a player, regardless of the game, regardless of which side you're rooting for. It's got to be incredibly frustrating to play in this league because you have no idea what you're getting from night to night, from half to half, from moment to moment. It is so inconsistent. It's frustrating. And at times, too, it feels like the Big 12 officiating crews, they want to have the spotlight on them. We're calling a bunch of whistles. You're going to be in the double bonus with 9 minutes to go in the game. It's not fun. That's not what basketball is about. It's not about constant stoppages and inconsistent whistles. You want to see flow. You want to see action. You have none of that in this conference. It's frustrating. And I think for a lot of BYU fans, a couple years ago you would have said, yes, you're describing the WCC officials. To me, it's no different. It's not any better. And maybe this is across the country in college basketball. Maybe it's just an issue that this sport faces, but gosh dang it, Mitch, it is so frustrating, the inconsistency of these officials night in and night out. It's taking away from the product. It's taking away from the enjoyment of this beautiful game, and I hate it.
26 fouls for BYU, 17 for Utah. That's a combined 43 fouls called in a game that was played for 45 minutes. You're talking almost a foul a minute, and no one wants to see that many whistles taking place in a game that's always going to be a little more physical, a little bit chippy. I mean, what was that takedown, that Foose, that tangled up situation with Foose and Lovering. Foose basically brought down Lovering, and that was a foul on Foose. I mean, it was a physical game. But you're right. I mean, every single night it's a little bit different style and different approach to the way that these whistles are happening. And sometimes even within a game, first half to overtime, some of the things that weren't being called in the first half suddenly getting called.
OT was a joke. 6-1 personal fouls in a game that was that physical. Like, give me a break. And the one foul that BYU gets in overtime is a dead ball on a screen where just come on. Like, this can't be reality. I'm sorry. We deserve better. If we want to be the best league in college basketball, it's got to be better than what we had up at the Huntsman Center and, quite frankly, what we've had all season long. And that's in wins and in losses, Mitch. It's not just, when you lose, it's the officials' fault. BYU lost this game because they couldn't make plays. They couldn't make free throws. They couldn't make shots. That's why they lost the game. But along the way, can the officials get out of the way and call a game that makes sense and is consistent so that the players can adjust and play accordingly? Because I don't feel like that's happening right now.
I agree. BYU falls again to Utah 73-72. Cougar Nation is sponsored by Central Bank, serving Utah County for over 133 years with trusted service, modern technology, and personalized care. Central Bank, proud sponsors here on Cougar Nation. We're taking a break, and we will preview BYU and Colorado tomorrow night in Boulder. Get you an early look at that game and maybe check in what's going on in the College Football National Championship game as well, right here on Cougar Nation.